The Perth Heat are one of the most successful, history-rich teams in the Australian Baseball League. But recently they decided to adopt Bitcoin to pay their players, staff, make it the default payment at the ballpark. COVID hit, games stopped, attendance revenue is down, the Bitcoin price tanked, ex-players were not happy. This would stop most teams, especially a successful team with deep tradition from their experiment in Bitcoin. The Perth Heat doubled down on their stance, not only for all their business operations, but new ideas to bring Bitcoin to the game of baseball, allowing fans to directly tip players for home runs, give back Bitcoin to fans for stolen bases, use their stadium to mine Bitcoin, and the hopes of building a Bitcoin World Series. This is a 21 Sports production.
That's why they pay a player on a football team or a baseball team $1 million or $2 million or $3 million a year. It is the Roman circus.
The Australian Baseball League is a professional baseball league with 6 teams east to west. It's one of baseball's recognized winter leagues, playing from November to February. Though the official summer sport of Australia is cricket, professional baseball in Australia dates back to the 1980s and 90s, where the first professional league ended in 1999 due to financial troubles. The Australian Baseball League returned in 2009 with a partnership with Major League Baseball, the Australian Baseball Federation, and the Government of Australia, building a baseball complex on the Gold Coast with a goal of resurrecting the league. The season began in 2010 with the Perth Heat winning the championship. They went on to win the first 4 to 5 championships from 2010 to 2015. Since then, they've been to the championship series 3 times. Perth Heat have a deep history in Australian baseball, having won 15 Claxton Shields. This is for the best baseball team in Australia. Besides their success on the field in Australia, the Perth Heat have made their mark on baseball around the world and in the major leagues, having 34 players who have played in Major League Baseball. Starting with Graham Lloyd, who is the first Australian to win the World Series, pitching 5.2 scoreless innings to help the New York Yankees win in 1996. The first Western Australian baseball player, Mark Eddles, pitched for the Padres, was also a member of the Perth Heat. Success with players from the 1980s all the way to 2000s would lead to homegrown talent Liam Hendriks, who started his career in the Perth Heat in 2010. He was ranked as the #1 relief pitcher in the MLB in 2020. All of the success in developing players would get the attention of the Baltimore Orioles, who would build a relationship with the team to develop players over the winter, leading to right-handed pitcher Michael Gibbons. Since then, another cutting-edge baseball organization, the Tampa Bay Rays, are now partnered with the Perth Heat, leading to development of big leaguers who have played for the Heat like Josh Fraley, Jacob Lopez, Mike Brasso, and top prospect Junior Romero. The 2023 World Baseball Classic saw 6 Perth Heat players suit up for the event. To put that in perspective, that is the same number of Yankees players and prospects at the World Baseball Classic. All the success on the baseball field, they have also had success in the community, helped growing the sport of baseball with youth programs in Perth. This is quite amazing since Perth is one of the most populous, isolated cities in the world. Thanks for the Perth Heat. Could not have been going any better, making a name for themselves in the baseball world. That was until the start of 2021. We all know what happened then. Country locked down. They were unable to get a team in Perth without quarantining for at least 2 weeks. This was no way to play a baseball season, and much like the rest of sports, during this time, the Australian Baseball League would suffer. The ABL was started in partnership with Major League Baseball, but since 2016, the league has continued without financial support. Teams in the Australian Baseball League are very similar to minor league, independent, and college summer ball teams, relying so heavily on fan attendance. Even the top 20 minor league teams still rely on 50% of their revenue to be attendance. Unfortunately, the ABL would lose the Auckland Tuatara, a franchise in Auckland, New Zealand, due to the financial pressures of those years. A quote from the management would say, "The costs of participating have skyrocketed over the past few months, and all competing in the ABL have found it challenging financially." Through the challenging years, talks within the Perth Heat would begin during the 2020 offseason about a new solution. And in 2021, CEO Stephen Nikolsky and newly appointed Chief Bitcoin Officer Patrick O'Sullivan would convince the ownership group and sponsors to adopt the Bitcoin standard, becoming the first professional team in any sport to do so.
Perth Heat are all in, and this is from the top down. So we'll now hodl Bitcoin on our balance sheet. We have Bitcoin payments for merchandise, tickets, and memberships. Our payments to players and staff are now in Bitcoin.
Now, as for why they did this,
This is the future of sport. Moving forward, there won't be a stadium, a ballpark, an arena around the world that you won't have the option to purchase, stadium concessions with Bitcoin. We're a progressive sports organisation, and we're always looking for opportunities to improve our performance on and off the field.
news spread like wildfire, and many celebrated the adoption of the Bitcoin baseball team.
In the first 3 weeks when we launched, and the global sales we had in 3 weeks eclipsed what we previously had in 3 years.
It was not all sunshine and rainbows. After adopting the Bitcoin baseball team name and logos,
It was almost people thought we were in for a cheap publicity stunt.
Just tweaking the logo naturally caused some dissatisfaction against former players when you start playing, your logo's your badge, and people start asking questions like, there's 30 years of tradition here that you're tweaking. There's championships which we've won and now you're playing around with a logo.
Now, not only were there some questions and player concern, but during this announcement, Bitcoin was the highest it has ever been priced at $64,000. And by the start of the season, it had plummeted, meaning merchandise sold, money taken in for sponsorship, season tickets could have dropped nearly 75%. With few games, COVID restrictions, Bitcoin price falling, no fans, and the ABL down from 8 teams to 6 teams, it was not looking good.
Through 2022, we went through a bear market. So some of the comments were, well, is this the end of Perth Heat and Bitcoin? And it was like, why? Now, with a short-term lens, it would never work in that capacity. So nice to go through a bear market as an organisation, and for some of those naysayers to understand that this is a long-term project.
Heading into the 2021-2022 season, finally, without restrictions, they could do a full season launch with Bitcoin. The first night was a success.
Unbelievable. Simple, easy. Just $10 for a beer. Here's the lightning code. Done. Moon wallet. Done.
Oh man, it's been fantastic to see the implementation at the ballpark. It's been seamless. All of the payments, everything that we have tried to do at the ballpark has worked out perfectly. Couldn't be happier. Leads to today, which is baseball back at the ballpark and Bitcoin payments running seamlessly.
Not only are they taking Bitcoin for concession tickets, but they're also integrating features that can only be done with Bitcoin, a whole new way to engage fans, calling it SatsforStats. Each player has their own Bitcoin address where fans can send Bitcoin directly to a player without a team in the middle. You see a home run, a big strikeout, you can send money directly to a player via their QR code. There's even been fans sending players beer money. Taco Bell used to have this promotion during the World Series where you'd steal a base and you'd be able to get a free taco. Perth Heat have a similar promotion. Every time a bag is stolen, fans watching live can redeem Bitcoin at that moment of a stolen base, keeping the fan engagement at a level we have never seen before. But it's not just fans, players are beginning to embrace Bitcoin.
We've already had one player who's come to us and he's requested 5 years of salary up front if paid out in Bitcoin, which shows already where the mindset of the players is.
And I jokingly say, and have said in past interviews, when we're talking about this stuff, that the salary that Steve is going to pay out this year in Bitcoin to the players of the Perth Heat will exceed that of the New York Yankees in 2035. It's just the way that it is.
The Perth Heat had a successful season, even having ex-Major Leaguer Josh Reddick suit up for the year. They would come up just short, being one win away from the championship in 2022. The Perth Heat have big aspirations, not just to be the best team in Australia, but to be the best team in the Eastern Hemisphere, competing with the KBO and Japanese leagues. The Perth Heat might not just be pioneers in baseball, but many other sports to come.
For what this will change in sports and the tsunami of teams and organizations that have been in contact with us and will follow in these footsteps, I think it's a really big opportunity.
They even want to go as far as creating a Bitcoin World Series.
It's the Bitcoin Cup. You're coming to Perth and we're playing for the baseball Bitcoin Cup, and there's a team from Japan, a team from Korea, one from Australia, and there could be an invitational team that comes from the Tampa Bay Rays, who are our sister state team here in the US. And we've suddenly got a 4-team tournament with international teams, and we're playing for the most prized baseball trophy, which is powered by Bitcoin.
The Perth Heat are one of Australia's most successful baseball teams, both on and off the field. They chose to adopt Bitcoin not just as another minor league promotion, but for the long run, in what they feel will be the future of sports. If Bitcoin succeeds, they might just actually have a higher salary than the New York Yankees did in this year, 2023. Time will tell if this decision makes them one of the most powerful teams in baseball and the sports world. If you like this video, want to see more, you can help support me by donating Bitcoin, and thanks for watching.